So it's Friday, and I have another question to answer about recovery from an eating disorder. This question is about how do you recover, or what are the first steps? From my experience for myself and in supporting other people and in reading I've done is that you actually just have to start. Recovery doesn't happen by thinking about it. You actually have to take action and be doing things. And this is about whether your behaviors and your struggles are about restriction or about overeating or binging, or if there's purging and compensation as well, is you have to take action in some way and then be doing thinking and looking at other issues that underlie the eating disorder, but action has to happen. One of the ways I think about this, there's actually a great quote that I've become aware of that describes it perfectly, and that is that you start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. A couple of examples that I can share is that I knew that having lunch, that was the hardest meal for me for a very long time, and then moving towards having lunch by myself, it was really difficult. So after I refed and got to the point where I would be eating meals by myself, lunch was still hardest. But what I knew that I could do at the time was I could snack my way through it rather than sitting down and having a meal and having the additional anxiety and worries come up. Is I knew I needed the food, but it was too hard to go from not having it to being able to have it by myself and being all fine. So I stepped towards it. I snacked my way through. And then over time I got to where I would have more of a meal but be doing something at the same time. And then the next step was to have a meal and be at a table and doing something as a bit of a distraction. And now I'm fine eating lunch by myself wherever and not having to be half avoiding it but still doing it. Another example of starting where I was, using what I had and doing what I could, was that, and this was very early and even when I was still struggling, was me eating dinner, non-negotiable, but sometimes eating at home, my anxiety was just too high. And luckily my husband could recognize that as well, and some nights he'd just see me and go, we're going out for dinner. And that relieved a lot of anxiety for me and made it bearable. So that's what we did. So for you to think about some of these things is think about, where are you? What is hard, but also what is easy? Instead of thinking about recovery as this really big, hard thing where everything has to change, it's breaking it down into smaller components for you. Okay, what is working? What can you change just a little bit to be stepping towards where you want to be? What do you have in place? What are you already doing? Do you have the right people that you need? Do you have supports? Do you have extra needs that maybe aren't being looked at? Can you change that? But there'll already be things that you may have access to that you're not utilizing to the best. And then doing what you can. And within doing what you can, it's realizing that some days are harder. That is just a given. And when we're trying and there's a lot of pressure around us to be moving towards recovery, we can feel that we have to be doing something all of the time. That's too much pressure. You need to back off from that. You do what you can in any given moment. And as long as you're taking more actions towards where you want to be rather than away from it, then you're on the right path. So to start recovery and to be working towards it, it's about starting where you are, using what you have, doing what you can. Do that enough over time and increase how often you're doing those things, then you're on your way. But you do have to start. It's about action. Recovery doesn't happen in thought only. You need to be acting. I'll talk to you next week.